What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to talk about why I quit my six-figure job to go full-time Bitcoin SV. So for those that are new to this channel, my background is in technical consulting. The section of the firm I worked in is we re-implemented ERP software, which stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. And I was what's called the technical lead. So I would travel to clients as part of the implementation team and guide them technically throughout the project, whether that's advising them, doing development myself, managing development teams offshore, and also making sure deliverables in terms of modifications, code, all that code review, all that stuff was clean and ready to go to make sure the client had long-term success. And these projects would last from around 6 months to maybe up to over 2 years. And that's what I did for about 7 years, ever since I graduated from college. And towards the end at my job, I ended up quitting in October 2018. I had just gotten a promotion in that summer, and I believe I was the first to get promoted out of the people in my class that started at the company back in summer 2012 to get at least to that higher level. And that came with a lot of money, and I was very happy with the amount of money I was making. And I also really like my coworkers. A lot of those people, I would call them long-term friends. Even still, it's been 2-3 years since I quit, but if I were to call them up today, we would have, great conversation. It would probably be just like when we used to work on different projects together, even as far back as, say, 2014. And so the question is, if I like my job so much, I just got promoted and I was getting paid a lot, why did I quit? And the answer is because I was obsessed with the Bitcoin technology, and specifically Bitcoin SV, and which is, if anyone's objective or outside the BSV space watching this, that might be a trigger thing. But I'm going to explain about why that specifically as we get into this video. But since I would say I saw the price run up of BTC late 2017, and from the payment side, because one thing I specialized in when I was working is credit card implementations, and I saw the pitfalls of that. So Bitcoin just seemed like a natural answer to a lot of this stuff because it eliminates a lot of the issues that come with credit card payments. And so from the end of 2017, but I forayed into altcoins and all this stuff. And then middle 2018, I went, okay, it needs to scale BCH. And then the end of 2018, when the BSV split happened, it was very obvious for me to choose that's the path. And the top reason is scalability. But anyway, from that point, from the end of 2018, while I was still working, even in my free time, I used to play video games and stuff. I still do kind of when I can find the time, but that was completely replaced with me learning JavaScript, I wanted to just contribute to the space. I didn't want to just sit on the sidelines after seeing these guys go through the effort and the social engineering attacks to, I know that semantics here, but fork the chain and make sure you preserve as close as possible to the original Bitcoin so that you can scale, fix the protocol, and allow people to build, right? And so from end of 2018 to end of 2019, even in my free time on the weekends, I was coding. That's when I started my YouTube channel early 2019 with tutorials, and that's all I was doing at the time. I was just purely doing coding tutorials because I was learning myself, so it was a great experience. And I would write some articles on yours, and this is before I started writing for CoinGeek. And I would try to contribute what I can because I felt like I almost had a responsibility to do so. And it was fun too because I was also learning. And the space was a lot different back then. But so I thought, even leading up to the end of 2019, I thought, okay, if I did this full time, what could I actually achieve? Even though I was successful in my job, it was fulfilling, right? It was rewarding. It was very stressful because that comes at a cost, and then all the travel and stuff. So I just thought, well, if I quit the job, forsake all that stuff, what can I actually achieve in the space with this newfound freedom as well? Because I had been doing this travel thing for 7 years, and it wore on me, right? I mean, if you do it so much, sometimes I would need a break. There would be lulls where I would do remote work for a while. But if you travel 3 times a month, this Monday through Thursday thing, it really starts to tear on you, man. I mean, it just, because sometimes you just want to be home and be able to focus. And I know if I quit, well, I'd be able to do that 7 days a week. So coincidentally, at the end of 2019, there was a conference by CoinGeek in Seoul, South Korea. And that was I attended that, and I was actually invited to speak on a panel about enterprise and BSV. And I'll link to that in this video. You guys can go check that out. And that conference was just amazing. I mean, I had such a good time. I had been to the previous two, the one in London and then the one in Toronto in the middle of 2019. And the one in Seoul was just amazing. And also I love the city there. The food is just so great. And at the tail end of that trip, I actually stopped in Tokyo for a few days before I went back to Los Angeles to work for the client at the time. And going into it, I was kind of debating it, but my conference experience there sealed it. I ended up making the decision on I believe the day after the after party. And what really pushed me over the edge was not only just engaging with everybody again, but I mentioned I started my YouTube channel in early 2019. And this is, again, while I was still had a full-time job. And I'd only done a few tutorials throughout the year. I have to go back and look and see how many I did. But I had so many people come up to me in Korea that I never met before, even online, and say, hey man, thanks for the tutorials. It was so great. It helped me learn a lot. And I'm just thinking, again, if I can have that type of impact with very part-time and minimal, I mean, we're talking not even doing any of this stuff Monday through Friday, right? This is only on weekends. If I can have that type of impact in the space to where I can influence and positively, imagine what I can do if I were to take the leap and go full-time, right? And of course that comes at a cost, but I'll tell you right now, I don't have any regrets, even today. So that's kind of what pushed me over the edge, was seeing that in person, you know, with all these people. And it was just the aura there was very positive, you know, very different from the space today. And I think that's also added to with the online stuff. But anyway, because it was in person and, you know, I think people were still positive back then. I mean, people are still positive now, but I think folks will kind of get what I'm saying. So it was just great. I mean, that was that whole conference experience. And then the night of the after party, I was actually invited by the editor of CoinGeek to start writing. And another factor is because of how my job was with the consulting nature and working for clients and disclosures and all this stuff, I couldn't take any other work at all, like no other income. So that was also a factor, is that, you know, maybe if I could write for CoinGeek too on a contractual basis, then I could also, maybe I would have stayed. But, you know, it's just too much. It's too restrictive anyways, right? So he offered me to start working. We negotiated the rate and I took that, and I've been writing for them ever since, again, on a contractual basis. And that relationship has been great as well with CoinGeek. So that also helped me, give me a little bit of assurance about some income, right? Even though I didn't need it, it was still good, especially to tell my family, because I think even my brothers and mom probably still don't know what the hell I'm doing. But, you know, even for my girlfriend at the time, was not my wife. And it was very difficult, right? To go from making all this money and having a very stable job to making zero, having zero income. But I will also say I was able to save a lot of money throughout that time because I was traveling so much. I didn't spend as much when I was at home. I have my home in Atlanta. And so I was very stable, I would say, relatively for a 29-year-old at the time. So that also helped me make that leap. And again, man, I don't regret it. And, you know, I don't know if maybe I mentioned this earlier in the video, but at my job, I had just gotten a promotion in the summer. So, and, you know, that came with a great pay increase. So it was a good chunk of change. And, you know, I think about that all the time, and I'm sure my wife does, but especially now with the BSV price. And I know folks will probably make fun of me, but I don't care, man. I mean, I guess I say, again, no regrets, Zion. I've learned so much. And that's the other thing, is that I never thought about how much I would learn. Not only about how Bitcoin works and the node software, but JavaScript. I knew zero JavaScript before 2019, none. And now I would say I'm pretty good at it. I've built a few apps in it, and I know a lot of stuff by heart now. And at first I hated it. I really did. I mean, asynchronous, and, you know, this is technical stuff, but it just doesn't behave like most programming languages, especially ones that are taught in school and the one that I used at my job. Okay, so I think that's enough about that. Long story short, that conference pushed me over the edge. My conference experience, engaging with people in the community, that seeing that even my light contributions had such a heavy impact is what really pushed me over the edge to jump in. And it's been so much fun since. I mean, again, that also comes with stressfulness, because this newfound freedom takes some responsibility, right? Because before things were more structured, and now there's no structure. So it really takes some discipline on my part. And I still struggle with that, sitting down, hunkering down, and actually getting stuff done, because there's no one telling me to do that. It's just me. So, but yeah, that's what I want to talk about with that. So the second part of this video is why did I go into Bitcoin SV? Why not Bitcoin Cash or one of these other chains? I mean, there were way less chains back then, but or Ethereum? Why didn't I jump into that? Well, the first one is because in my journey in 2018, I already went through most of those coins. I already messed around with them and and understood the pitfalls of them, and understood, especially from the enterprise background, that this stuff, if this thing is going to work, if this very bleeding edge tech is going to work, it must scale. So that's the biggest factor. And I think there's two things. There's a bunch of amateurs in the space, frankly. That's number one. And we see that even on other cryptos, right? I mean, a lot of these guys maybe are just open source devs, but they've never really worked at a company before. And, I'm not trying to attack anybody. I'm just speaking what it is. Because if you had worked at a company that had done any type of business volume, you would understand that a lot of the way these other chains work is simply unacceptable. You simply cannot have outages in production. It's just unacceptable, right? The blockchain must be able to handle scale, and it can't fall down just because you increase demand, right? And the top two chains, BTC and Ethereum, they fall over when people use it. They fail them when people use it. And they've even starting to fail them when it comes to some of these political issues, which I talked about in previous videos and I've written about as well. So if you're not scaling to be able to handle payments for the world, then what is the point? Because the entire point of Bitcoin in the white paper, first paragraph, is to talk about online cash to be used. And just I don't go to a store and give the clerk a $5 bill and they tell me, actually, due to the network, you're gonna have to pay 75-cent fee instead of 1%. Okay, but this, folks within the BSV space, this is a tired argument, right? But it still continues to amaze me that people tolerate this stuff and they act as if it's going to work in the future, and it's not. It just won't, because nobody spends money that way. They will never spend money that way at scale, and they don't spend money that way, right? They do not. No one's actually using this stuff, and this is BSV included. It's all about trading, gambling, speculation. That's a digression. But another part I wanted to talk about with why Bitcoin SV specifically is the scalability. But I want to give shout out to Jack Pitts, because I don't know what he was doing before 2018, but he's talked about how he was worked on Wall Street with a fund in the .com bubble, and he's talked about the similarities there, which I find fascinating. But he made a comment that if he ever saw something that he thought was as innovative as the internet stuff, the .com and all the websites that was happening in the late 90s, 2000s, that he would jump in, because he could not miss that opportunity. And that's how I felt. That was also another factor, is that me seeing this going on, to me, it's analogous to adoption of the internet, how a lot of people were made fun of for thinking, oh, this stuff's going to take over. And now all the people that made fun of those people look like clowns, right? Because they're either out of business, or no one knows who they are, or they will fade into obscurity, right? Those would be one of those things. Oh, you remember we used to do that? Oh, you remember we used to spin the dial to call people? You remember we used to have flip phones, or the Nextel chart, right? A lot of people 20 and younger probably have no idea what that is. Maybe they know only through memes, right? So that's another reason, is that coupled with the scalability, obviously the internet scales because everybody uses it, but coupled with that, that leap to be part of something that's probably a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I just couldn't refuse that. I had to jump in. And, you know, I guess the criticism is, you know, Bitcoin SV price is still low. Sentiment is low, but the actual innovation is high, which I think no one actually knows about, which is probably contributes to all the negativity. But again, even at this point, I'm incredibly positive. If people have seen my last videos, my last, I don't know, 10 to 15 videos, I remain very positive. I remain extremely active in the space. I'm continuing to do the same things I was doing before, except now I'm doing more of it. And I'm going to continue. I'm not going to stop. I mean, I see no reason to. My family is supportive of it because I've managed to stay afloat, and, you know, I'm still happy. You know, I do not regret quitting that job. And you know, they actually told me I have an open door policy, but I don't think I'll go back because I don't think I'm wrong about this choice. You know, even after what, almost 4 years now, I remain incredibly bullish on the future. I do think this technology will take over like the internet did, and it will become obvious later down the road, whereas now it seems crazy, right? And of course, people think we're crazy, and I'm sure people thought those folks who criticized the internet, the people that were building on the internet at the time, they were crazy, right? I went to an event this past Saturday where an older man, he mentioned to us, I couldn't find the source of this, but he mentioned that a C-level person at Motorola in the late 90s, he said that whoever that was a brilliant individual, very credentialed person and very respected. And apparently he had the stance that communications will never go digital. And now, I mean, do you see Motorola making phones anymore? Who has a Motorola phone? I don't see anybody with one. I either see them have Samsung or Android for the most part, or iPhone for the most part, right? So again, these people, even who are very intelligent, they don't see it coming. They get blindsided because they didn't see this happen. And it's hard. I mean, it's not easy, right? Just like it wasn't easy for me to quit, to take that leap, man. I mean, and I know other folks have done what I've done, right? And this video kind of just serves to talk through why I did it and why I'm still here. Because, you know, I think with the price being so low, maybe folks think it's crazy, or, you know, maybe they're thinking about taking the job again to, you know, stabilize themselves financially, especially with all this crazy inflation going on. But yeah, so even folks that are super smart, and that's why I think it's very easy to get what's the word? Easy to get not confused, but discouraged. That if you even see intelligent people making fun of blockchain or online payments and stuff, you got to know, man, even brilliant people did not see what ended up occurring. So I guess that's where I want to end it. I think I've rambled enough. I hope that continues to influence people. And, you know, I'm very happy with where this channel is and how it's growing, and how I can still push forward, and how I'll continue to build my apps, and in the future of Bitcoin, specifically SV, because that's the one that's trying to scale to be the actual digital cash for the entire earth, right? Not just some, you know, speculative project. It's actually trying to be what Satoshi envisioned. So let me know of any feedback, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.